Imagine a father and his young son setting out for a celebratory mountain biking trip in the beautiful but treacherous Sierra Nevadas. They were experts meticulously prepared for any challenge the trails could throw at them, but they never returned. For 5 long years, their family was left with only silence, and the case went cold. Then a lone hiker made a stunning discovery wedged high on a 160-foot cliff face. A discovery so bizarre it would reignite the investigation and expose a truth far darker than a simple accident. Before we dive into this chilling story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories. Introduction. On the evening of July 15th, 2017, Olivia Kinsley was driving home from her nursing shift. She expected a routine check-in call from her husband Garrett and their son Bryson, who were on a meticulously planned birthday mountain biking trip near Lake Tahoe. Garrett, a professional trail designer, was a seasoned expert. He understood the risks, respected the terrain, and was always prepared. But as she pulled into her driveway, the silence felt heavier than usual. Garrett and Bryson 12 had vanished from the mountainside. The check-in call never came. The silence began. So Olivia tried to rationalize the lack of communication. The trails near Tahoe were remote, and cell service was notoriously spotty. She went to bed, assuming she would wake to a voicemail full of apologies and excited stories from their ride, but the silence persisted through the next day's shift. By the end of the day, her rationalizations crumbled. It was completely unlike Garrett to be out of touch for so long. Sitting in her car, a sharp fear took hold. She called the resort where they were staying. The clerk's response was chilling. Their room key hadn't been used since check-in, and the room was untouched. They had vanished from the side of a mountain. An impossible search. Olivia's frantic call to the resort initiated a massive search and rescue operation. The Sierra Nevada mountains were beautiful, but notoriously unforgiving. The search teams, including local authorities, park rangers, and a massive volunteer effort, scoured every trail, every ravine, and every hidden corner of the expansive mountainside. They found no sign of the father and son or their bikes. Garrett's knowledge of the trails, which should have been their greatest asset, now became a liability. He was so familiar with the mountain's deepest secrets that he and Bryson could have been anywhere. A chilling detail. The family's friends and fellow climbers were baffled. Garrett was meticulous, a planner who always had a backup plan. But a chilling detail emerged from Olivia's interview with the police. They discovered that Garrett had left the satellite phone behind at their home, an inexplicable oversight that violated his most fundamental rule of mountaineering. With no way to call for help, a simple accident could have become a death sentence. The search became an impossible quest for a needle in a haystack, and the lack of any evidence led to the search being called off. For 5 years, the case remained a mystery, and the silence from the mountains was their only answer. A chilling discovery. For 5 long years, the mystery of Garrett and Bryson Kinsley was still a ghost haunting Lake Tahoe. But in the spring of 2022, a lone hiker exploring a rarely used trail saw something glinting high on a 160-foot cliff face. It was a metal carabiner part of a climbing harness, snagged on a rock. When a rescue team rappelled down to investigate, they made a shocking discovery: a single intact sleeping bag, and inside a camera with a single photo on it. An unspeakable truth. The camera contained a single terrifying photo. It was a close-up selfie of Garrett and Bryson, taken from the top of the cliff with the vast expanse of the Sierra Nevada mountains behind them. They looked tired, but unharmed. The photo was dated 2 days after they had vanished. This meant they had survived their initial disappearance, but then met a terrifying fate. The carabiner, the sleeping bag, and the photo pointed to a tragic but deliberate ending. The police now had a new theory, an argument, a terrible decision, and a tragic fall. The silence from the mountain was not an accident. It was a choice, an unspeakable truth. With the new discoveries, particularly the photo and the location, the police's initial theory was shattered. The selfie of Garrett and Bryson on the cliff, dated 2 days after they vanished, proved they had survived the initial incident. The photo showed them tired but alive, with a vast, silent wilderness stretching out behind them. This wasn't a casual photo. It was a final, desperate message to the world. It meant they didn't fall on their first day of biking, but somehow ended up at the top of a cliff, where they spent 2 terrifying days. The sleeping bag and carabiner were part of an emergency kit suggesting they had a terrible fall, but had managed to survive and were now trapped on a small ledge. The father, a meticulous planner, had likely packed an emergency kit with a single-use camera. The selfie wasn't a casual photo, but a desperate final message to the world, a final record of their last moments, a final act of love. The police, now with a clear understanding of the situation, initiated a new targeted search. This time, they knew exactly where to look. Using the photo and the GPS coordinates of the camera, they located the small ledge where Garrett and Bryson had spent their last 2 days. They found Bryson's body on the ledge, wrapped in the sleeping bag, a tragic but poignant final act of a father's love. The medical examiner confirmed Bryson had died of exposure and hypothermia, but Garrett's body, found on the rocks below, showed signs of blunt force trauma that were inconsistent with a fall from the ledge. The theory was that Garrett had likely died trying to get help, making a desperate climb down and falling. The mountain which had held their secret for 5 long years had finally, reluctantly revealed a part of its story. The case of Garrett and Bryson Kinsley became a cautionary tale about the unforgiving nature of the wilderness and the importance of communication and preparedness. The discovery, though it brought a terrible truth, also brought a measure of closure to Olivia Kinsley, who could finally begin to grieve. The tale of Garrett and Bryson Kinsley is a chilling reminder that some mysteries are not solved by detectives, but by the relentless hand of time and the brutal honesty of nature. It leaves us with a lingering question: what truly happened on that cliff? If this deep dive into true crime and unsolved mysteries captivates you, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that notification bell. Leave a like and share your theories in the comments below. Your support helps us bring more compelling stories to light. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.